Rule number 1 is never lose money. Rule number 2 is never forget rule number 1. Someone's sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. If you aren't willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. The most important quality for an investor is temperament, not intellect. Risk comes from not knowing what you are doing. Never invest in a business you cannot understand. The most important investment you can make is in yourself. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. Never depend on a single income. Make an investment to create a second source. I will tell you how to become rich. Close the doors. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. If you buy things you do not need, soon you will have to sell things you need. No matter how great the talent or efforts, some things just take time. You can't produce a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. The best chance to deploy capital is when things are going down. Remember that the stock market is a manic depressive. The most important thing to do if you find yourself in a hole is to stop digging. In the business world, the rearview mirror is always clearer than the windshield. Time is the friend of the wonderful company, the enemy of the mediocre. The 3 most important words in investing are margin of safety. If a business does well, the stock eventually follows. Only buy something that you'd be perfectly happy to hold if the market shut down for 10 years. Investing is picking good stocks at good times and staying with them as long as they remain good companies. Calling someone who trades actively in the market an investor is like calling someone who repeatedly engages in one-night stands a romantic. The stock market is designed to transfer money from the active to the patient. Our favorite holding period is forever. Fear is the most contagious disease you can imagine. It makes the virus look like a piker. The important thing is to know what you know and know what you don't know. You cannot make a good deal with a bad person. Uncertainty actually is the friend of the buyer of long-term values. Every decade or so, dark clouds will fill the economic skies. and they will briefly rain gold. You only learn who has been swimming naked when the tide goes out. The best way to think about investments is to be in a room with no one else and to just think. If that doesn't work, nothing else is going to work. When seeking directors, CEOs don't look for pit bulls. It's the Cocker Spaniel that gets taken home. Your best investment is yourself. There is nothing that compares to it. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. It's better to hang out with people better than you. Pick out associates whose behavior is better than yours, and you'll drift in that direction. I never attempt to make money on the stock market. I buy on the assumption that they could close the market the next day and not reopen it for 5 years. Charlie and I would follow a buy and hold policy even if we ran a tax-exempt institution. Buy a stock the way you would buy a house. Understand and like it such that you'd be content to own it in the absence of any market. Opportunities come infrequently. When it rains gold, put out the bucket, not the thimble. You only have to do a very few things right in your life, so long as you don't do too many things wrong. It is not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. There is nothing wrong with a know-nothing investor who realizes it. The problem is when you are a know-nothing investor, but you think you know something. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. Investing is not a game where the guy with the 160 IQ beats the guy with 130 IQ. A horse that can count to 10 is a remarkable horse, not a remarkable mathematician. Keep all your eggs in one basket, but watch that basket closely. Forecasts may tell you a great deal about the forecaster. They tell you nothing about the future. What we learn from history is that people don't learn from history. If past history was all that is needed to play the game of money, the richest people would be librarians. What the wise do in the beginning, fools do in the end. If you've been playing poker for half an hour and you still don't know who the patsy is, you're the patsy. I always knew I was going to be rich. I don't think I ever doubted it for a minute. People always ask me where they should go to work, and I always tell them to go to work for whom they admire the most. I learned to go into business only with people whom I like, trust, and admire. Never give up searching for the job that you are passionate about. In the world of business, the people who are most successful are those who are doing what they love. I'm not interested in cars, and my goal is not to make people envious. Don't confuse the cost of living with the standard of living. Life is like a snowball. The important thing is finding wet snow and a really long hill.